What if getting fired is the best thing that ever happened to you? Now, I know getting fired from a job feels like absolute crap. It can feel demoralizing and it can be scary, especially if you don't have savings to live off of until you figure out your next financial move. But if you are one of the 300,000 plus Black women who have been ejected and rejected from this current job environment, and finding a new one is proving difficult for all of the reasons. I know it might not immediately feel like it, but it could be a blessing in disguise. Because come on, how many times do we find ourselves in a job we absolutely hate? Or it's just draining us and we're wishing, gosh, I can't wait until I get another job, or I can't wait till I'm doing something different, or I can't wait till I'm working on the thing that I'm really passionate about full time. Sometimes the opportunities don't come the way that we want them to, but they come when we need them to. So if you're feeling like you're on the short end of the stick as a Black woman in America today, as I record this in early October of 2025, this may be the invitation to reinvention you've been waiting for. And this conversation that I'm about to have is for you. So in this video, I speak with Samantha Gregory of workplacealchemy.com. She has been helping women go from burnout to bliss with her coaching business over the last several years. Now, I had her on my podcast, the Sell Your Book podcast, back in 2024 as an author, sharing her book selling secrets. But baby, I wound up seeing a video of hers come across my YouTube channel.
I want to talk about the 300,000 plus Black women that were recently evicted. I'm going to call it evicted from the workfare roles. Not welfare, but workfare. Enslavement, basically, all the things that have kept you away from your freedom. The things that have held you back. And I'm framing it that way because oftentimes, and most recently, I've seen that people have seen this as a disadvantage versus an advantage. But I want you to know that it's an advantage. You get to have whatever you want. And you are not, I'd say, obligated to live by anyone else's code, anyone else's druthers. You get to create the life that you want. You can create a self-care lifestyle, or a lifestyle that's foundational with self-care. It is a really great position to be in because a lot of people want that, but they're afraid of not having the financial security. The amazing thing is you get to determine what your financial security is. We have been sold a bill of goods that says a 9-to-5, a job is the only way that you can have income. We have been groomed, programmed, conditioned to only expect one source of income unless you happen to be innovative, creative, and you know that you can have multiple streams of income. So I just want to challenge you to rethink this eviction from the workforce as an opportunity for you to level up, reinvent, rest, reconnect with yourself, and then do a reset. Create the life that you want and stop waiting for some other people to tell you what your life should look like. If you do that, you'll always win.
And I just had to talk to her about this topic. Now, I have been 100% obsessed with answering the question, what do the 300,000 plus Black women who've been removed from the workforce do next? And there's so many different ways to answer that question. And I absolutely loved what Samantha had to say today. So lock in, grab a beverage, and let's get some real answers and resources so that we are ready for reinventing ourselves. Let's go. Miss Samantha,
Yes.
welcome back into Denise Renee's world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I really loved the first time that we collaborated. You were on my podcast, the Sell Your Book podcast. It's been on hiatus in the year of 2025, but it's coming back in 2026. And I really love the insights that you shared. And, I've been seeing you here and there a little bit on LinkedIn, whatever. But then a few days ago, my YouTube said, girl, you need to see this. And I was like, wait, hold on. I didn't even was subscribed to Samantha on YouTube, but child, the algorithms display what the algorithms want to display. And I think our phones be listening, okay? Because I was
Yes.
saying something to somebody else, and then your video popped up.
Uh-huh.
And for context, I will pop it in the final edit video here so people could see what I saw. And I was like, we need to talk.
Mhm, mhm.
Because I have been low key obsessed with the topic of the 300,000 Black women that have been ejected, I like to say, from the
Yes.
workforce. I've been obsessed with the question, what do we do next? I
Mhm.
made a solo video about it with my thoughts and with my thoughts and recommendations, because what I don't see, like I see a lot of talking head news people, and they're like, "Yeah, this is bad," and whatever, and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, okay, but what we finna do next?
Right,
Okay,
that part.
what are we supposed to do next? No,
Absolutely.
oh, you have nothing to say. Okay, so as usual, we gotta get together and talk about this and come up with solutions on our own. And I had another conversation with Davina Ware on my channel, and now I am talking with you because I really want to hear what you have to say. I basically have that just one question. I have maybe a couple of points that I want to kind of get to, but
Sure.
this conversation is just going to flow because I'm like, I just know this is going to be key. It's going to be key. So,
Mhm.
what's your answer to the question? What
Well, first
is
of
we finna do next?
First of all, thank you again for having me on your show. I love talking with you. Your light is bright, and I love being around people who have a bright light. And to this question, and you called it an ejection, I call it an eviction, because I think, and they pretty much the same thing, hand in hand. But like you said, people are focusing on the problem, and I'm very much, what's the solution? We have beat that horse until it's lifeless. We know that. We know all of that. So what's next? And from my perspective as a self-care, burnout, recovery, prevention strategist, my thing is, okay, use this as an opportunity to rest, reset, rediscover, reclaim, and relaunch. Basically, because you now have an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself. And I happen to be a queen of reinvention. I reinvented myself several times, and using these situations as an opportunity to reinvent your life. And it doesn't have to be this big overhaul, but you're now forced to move into a different stage of your life. And a lot of people have secretly been like, oh man, this job is really killing me. I hate this job. I'm so stressed, blah, blah, blah. And now you have a golden opportunity to leverage what you have and to use it as a pivot point so that you're no longer, what did I call it? Doing workfare, aka corporate welfare, and you're now, getting to be a part of your own solution. You get to decide what your next step is going to be, how you're going to show up in the world effectively, how are you going to use this season in your life to up level, rest, um, reinvent, all the things I mentioned before. But you have to take control and you have to make the decision. You can't wait for other people to give you permission because you have the permission already. The fact that you get up, you get out of the bed, you breathe, you do all the different things as a sovereign being, you have permission already to do whatever the hell you want to do. Excuse my French. So, and that's really that's the message.
No, baby, that was English. That was English, and I speak English.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I love all of that.
and so what else you gonna do?
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. I mean, like literally the question is, what's your next move? That's it.
So, I think that I have so many thoughts that are ready to go in 10 different directions at once. I think the one thing that I want to say that I don't think I've said publicly is that when a group is being attacked, especially a group such as Black women, we're always being attacked. It's sometimes like I just have to like take a step back, because when you're in the middle of the fight and it, just feels like blows are coming at you everywhere, it is hard to take a pause, right? In the middle of that. But when I pause in the middle of this, I'm like, wait a minute. There's a reason why we're being attacked. There's a
Mhm.
reason why we're being targeted. It's because no matter what they do to us, we always rise.
Always.
We have something that people seem to want to like exploit.
Mhm.
And I think this is a great moment and opportunity for us to realize it's time for us to stop allowing ourselves to be exploited and to flip the narrative and take control of what it is that we have to offer. And it can be scary because basically this whole idea of like working and corporations, whatever, it's I don't even think it's 150 years old, right? It came in with the Industrial Revolution because before that, people were artisans. They had a trade.
Mhm.
They had their own business, so they had farms, and you produced and you worked in your trade, and you basically everybody was their own little employer, right? They
Right.
were all everyone was self-employed. And so the promise of, big corporation, you trade your time, they give you money, they give you a pension, they take care of you and pay out the rest of your life. That was fine up until a certain point until they started reneging on those promises, outsourcing, slashing pensions. And, we get to where we are now, where corporations, the biggest of them, they just want to use AI. They just want to automate everything and leave you out to just rot, I
Mhm.
suppose,
Mhm.
because you're certainly not getting health care. So, that's it, that's all. But that doesn't mean that has to be it, that's all. And like you said, it's that opportunity where we've been, burnt out in these different roles and stuff like that. It's like, well, what is that thing that we've been wanting to do all along? Now's
Mhm.
the time to do it. Now, it can be scary
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, we've been in this system, at least for me. Like I'm hybrid. I have a full-time job, doesn't pay that much, but hey, it gives the health benefits, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I also work on my brand and my business. So and it gives me the opportunity to take my time with growing my brand and, learning what I need to learn because I've been in this system for so long that there's a whole lot of different skills that you need to pick up and learn as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person. But when somebody is just like, oh, wait, for the last 15, 20, 30, whatever years, I've just been an employee. Now all of a sudden I have to jump into entrepreneurship. That could be a shock to the system.
Mhm.
What are your
Mhm.
suggestions?
Oh my gosh, that is a great question. And I recognize that the shock to the system is very real because we are not taught in school, unless you're a business major, unless you have, unless you have gone through certain marketing type classes and business development classes, you're just not taught how to be an entrepreneur. You're taught how to be an employee
And
from
it's
the time.
intentional,
Yes, exactly.
intentionally.
It is very much intentional. And so when you find yourself in a space where, people and we've been hearing for the last 10 years, oh, hustle, side business, side this, side that. And people have kind of got on board with that, but it's been more or less bootstrap, just really a rough way to go, but it's not been effective in reaching enough people, 300,000 people. Not all of them are going to know how to build a business now that they have the opportunity to do it. They now must they have a steep learning curve. They are now being thrown into a whole different world. But again, it's about opportunity. It's about being willing. It's about being coachable. It's about putting on your lifelong learner hat, picking up skills, upskilling, and pacing yourself through that process because you can't do it all in one. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. You can't do that.
A
So
fire
you have
hose.
yeah, you
Sure.
have to take the information has to be incrementally learned and applied because you can learn everything because there's lots of information out there, but if you have to apply it and implement it in your for a little at a time and you learn as you go because I don't know if you were around during the early days of online marketing and blogging and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So back in
Hmm. Hmm.
the early 2000s, right? So I was part of
Early
that
2000s
wave.
and 2010s.
Right, or
Hmm.
I was a part of that wave, and so we were learning as things were being built online. So we had the opportunity to not have to be rushed into it, but today people are expected to know things instantly, and you cannot know it instantly. So that's one disadvantage they have, and I feel bad for them because they don't have that slow growth that we had, and okay, here's a new thing. Okay, everybody's learning all at one time if you were involved in that space. But now, because everything is available, is already known for the most part, and it's already online, and now you have YouTube videos, you have blogs, you have Pinterest, you have LinkedIn, you have all this information. So
A
now it
lot. Right.
is, okay, what do I need to know first? And talking to a coach, finding someone who, and not just finding a coach, but someone who can help you manage your expectations and your energy as you are shifting into this new space. I do that with my clients because now it's like, okay, I have to take care of my family. I got this new business I gotta try to learn about. I have all these other duties. We wear multiple hats, multiple roles. So how do I fit this in and make my efforts mean something? So that is a really key point that we now must consider. How do I take this new thing and integrate it into my life so it doesn't overwhelm me, so I don't give up, so I don't just throw it all up in the air, throw my hands up and say, "Well, this ain't gonna work," and which brings me to the mindset, because even the mindset has to
Mm,
shift now, because you're no longer going to get a weekly
yes.
paycheck or biweekly or monthly paycheck. Now you either getting paid every day, you may get paid every other week, you may get paid every 3 months. It just depends on the type of business that you actually are um, into. People are turning to gig economy. I think I heard a statistic say it was like 57% of Americans are now a part of the gig economy, which is like, really? For real? Yeah. So whether you are delivering groceries, you delivering people to different places, there's so many different ways that people are making money now. And so once you figure out and you hone in on the right thing that's for you, and that may also mean experimenting, trying a few things out. But if you now have a
Mhm.
pension, not a pension, if you have a severance package, if you have unemployment, you kind of are in a sweet spot right now because you may not be so worried about the money. So now you can give yourself the
Right.
space to build a viable, soul aligned business that is also going to help you bring some income in.
I think so much there, so rich. One thing that you said that stuck out to me was about setting expectations. And, back in the 2010, and it feels so ridiculous to say back in the 2010s. I'm like, this was
Right.
only 10 years ago, 15 years ago, max.
Right.
But back in the 2010s, like really, actually that was about the time where I was really heavy into learning copywriting. And
Mhm.
I was in a business with my former partner and I was doing all the marketing and, learning long form copy and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And now social media has matured so much
Mhm.
within that time frame. And now it's like it can feel oversaturated. It can
Yes.
feel like, well, the era of blowing up and going viral and that being enough to kind of
Mhm.
launch a new career for someone, that era is, I would say, changed. I wouldn't say it's
Yeah.
gone, but it's
Yes.
definitely changed. It's more challenging to go viral. And just
Mhm.
because you have a viral moment, if you don't have the underlining foundation to turn that viral moment into a brand, into a business, you could find that, that viral moment came and that viral moment left, right? Without much, anything in the way. And the ability to kind of break through on algorithms is changing. There's more AI content out there, so it's like it's a very different landscape. And whatever you think you knew, you have to always be in the mindset, like you said, it's a mindset of putting on that hat of being a lifelong learner because things are changing on platforms almost weekly. Like
Yes.
YouTube is changing by the week. In TikTok might get sold to somebody else, and best to believe they're going to change that TikTok algorithm. So that
Mhm.
sweet spot of discovery, like kiss it goodbye, kiss it goodbye. It's probably going to become very much a little bit more like a Instagram or Facebook where you have to pay to play. So I really love your point of become a lifelong learner. I think and set expectations. I don't think anybody should expect to go viral with promoting their new business. And I don't think that people should feel the pressure of having to be on 10,000 different platforms. Pick a primary platform that you really want to be discovered on and known on, and go all in on that, because to try to do everything all at once is a bit much. But
Yeah.
you mentioned something also. You said these are some of the things that you work with your clients about. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about what it is that you do and how that has shifted from when we last had a conversation on camera back in 2024.
Mhm.
Because my understanding of your business was more like, helping people to kind of like make a transition, or just, find like more meaningful work, or finding creating like a more meaningful business. How has that shifted and changed in the last 2 years, and especially in the last six to 8 months of 2025?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was and still do some tech and business strategy with companies. But what I was finding with a lot of my clients that I was talking to was the primary problem they were having was feeling overwhelmed, lack of small little capacity to get their business where they wanted it to be. The burnout was a real issue. And so because I've had my own burnout story, to recovery story, I was just sharing a lot of the tips and strategies that I use in order for me to move out of that hyper vigilant, cortisol saturated life, that triggered the burnout in me. Um, and
I
really
know that right.
yeah, helping them with, okay, here are some ways to not just manage your personal life, but your business life, your professional life, so that self care becomes a foundational lifestyle for you and not an escape. So I share with them how to manage their energy versus managing time. Because if you don't have the energy, you can have all the time in the world, you still won't get anything done. So, and that is underpinned by knowing and being really realistic and aware of what do you have the capacity for. If you're a
Mhm.
mother, if you're a student, if you're a spouse or partner, if you are you taking care of elderly parents, if you have a special needs child, if you have all these things happening, it's like, where is your energy leaking, and how do you
Mhm.
plug those leaks so that you can be available for the business you're trying to build, for the life you're trying to build, and in a way that you feel energized, a way that you feel literally happy and joyful, in a way where you're actually adding impact and income to your life. So with helping them with the energy and the capacity planning, it gives them breathing room. It gives them a way
Mhm.
to heal the burnout, because oftentimes when we're moving into these new ways and spaces of being, whether it's a new business,
It's stressful.
it's
Yeah.
stressful. All of it is very stressful. So how do you manage that stress without just dropping everything, but focusing on yourself, being available for yourself first, filling your own cup up to the top, to the brim first, and then everything that overflows from that is where you give to other people, because you can't give to people out of your cup and
And
expect
not if it's
that you're going
empty.
to have enough to give and be available for everything else you want to do in your life, everything you feel called
Mhm.
and called to do and have the energy to do. So that's why I'm sharing with them. Okay, here's some stress management tips. Here's some burnout recovery tips, strategies. Here's some energy management strategies, and capacity planning strategies, so that with all those things pulled together, you feel like your whole best self versus a fragmented part of your fragmented person, which is what, traditional our traditional society says that we really must be in order to be seen as, oh, you're doing all the wonderful things, you're effective, and you're such a great person, but yet you're dying inside. So my job is to help you come alive again. And a lot of that is has to do with taking an inventory of where you are right now, becoming more aware of what is impacting you and where your energy leaks are, so that you can say, okay, this is what I need to cut off. This is what I need to reduce. This is what I need to delegate. This is what I need to delete completely. These are people I need to release because those people they're the main ones that causes a lot of the stress that's happening in your life. And I help you decide. Okay, you ready to let
Mm.
them go? Here's a plan to let these people
Well,
go. And so you
let
don't
my people
feel
go.
right, the guilt and the shame around it, and people who have
Mm.
been, um, evicted, ejected from the workforce, they now have a lot of time to make some decisions about the people who gon stay and the people who's gonna have to go in order for them to move to the next level.
Do you do any business coaching or like helping with business systems and for people who are like new to like, okay, well, entrepreneurship seems to be the only opportunity because trying to get a job right now is crazy. It's not that it's not impossible, but it feels impossible, right? So it's like, well, how do I take my skills and put that into a package and put myself out there in that way? Do you help people with any types of systems for that, or any learnings or what they should be doing to get started?
Do I when I say I'm the queen of business ideas, if you need one, come to me because I will take
I got you.
I will take, with your interest, I will take your skill set and I will help you merge it into a viable business idea, not just based off of that idea or the skill you have or that interest, but literally your personality. Because
Mm.
I don't know if you heard of human design, but I do human design
Mhm, mhm.
readings and I help people
Mm,
understand where your strengths are, where your authority is, what your strategy should be. Because we
mm,
this is the part of that the one of the R's I mentioned, which is this rediscovery, because a lot of us just don't know who we
mhm,
are. We don't know who we are. We're
mm.
operating in a way that is counterintuitive. We're literally
We
sabotaging
are.
ourselves because we don't know who we are and we're doing things someone else said we should do when that doesn't really work for you. So I literally, go take people through assessments so that they understand who they are first and then take their ideas, take their interests, and then we merge all those things together to come up with a business that really literally works for them and it feels easy. It feels effortless. Now, yes, you must know the business principles and I teach you those things too. But in the long run, when you're doing something that is a good fit for you, then all the other stuff doesn't feel like a burden. But if you're doing something that somebody said, like, let's say somebody says, you should join my travel company, but you don't really want to do that. But it said, oh, it's a lot of money you can make. Okay, let me try this. But it's going to be a drudgery for you because that's not really what you
Right,
want to do.
right,
And then learning all the
exactly.
business principles behind that is going to be a drudgery because it's like, okay, I got to find an X number of
Yeah, I
people.
don't
I
really
got
wanna do
to
this.
yeah,
Right.
so to do something that you really don't wanna do in the first place and then try to build business principles on top of that, that is a setup for disaster. You're going to quit, and it's gonna
It's
feel like
kinda what we
failure.
already had.
Yeah, yeah,
Is what we already had in the workforce. Like,
abs
most people do not like their jobs, but they're in jobs that are unrelated to what they studied or what they wanted to do, and you're just
mhm,
doing it because, well, it's a paycheck, it's a roof over the head,
right,
but you don't wanna recreate that in a business or a side hustle or an additional income stream, because that's
right,
just gonna burn you completely out.
that part. Because you're not doing what you want to do or what you're designed to do. So, and outside of a business, people should consider contract work. That's an
Mhm,
option because a lot of people don't want to do a traditional business. So I do both. I do contract work and it's under my business name, and I also do
mhm.
freelance consulting, or uh, yeah, freelance consulting. So I get to have the bread and butter of the contract work, and I also have the freelance work that I do where I bring in income that way. So and then of course I do digital products. So with those things, I've created the right formula for me. That may not work for other people. Some people may just say, hey, let me just take my skills and be a consultant and I just get some contracts, off a certain platform. Other people may say, okay, I want to do the marketing that excites me. But for a lot of people, marketing doesn't, they don't like the idea of selling. They don't like the idea of marketing. And so contract work
Right.
may be the best option for them. And even though companies have fired a lot of people, they still need the same work done. So they're going to hire contractors.
Companies are crazy. They are nonsensical. But the thing is, it kind of does make sense a little bit because in the numbers, when you have an employee, let's say they're paying that employee $50,000 a year. Well, that's what that employee is getting. And then, of course, the government takes their cut from the employee. So the employee is getting even less than that. But you forget that also that company is probably spending an extra $20,000 a year on you for, whatever your medical and all the benefits and things
Mhm.
like that. So
Yes.
employees are the company's biggest expense. But with a contractor, they'll easily, yeah, sure, we'll give you a couple $1,000s a month or whatever, but it's for a limited time. And when that
Right.
contract is over, you're out of there. Or they can cancel that contract and stop paying you. So it's a lot, they don't feel tethered to you. So
Right.
while they are firing whole departments and saying we're going with AI, they're still looking for AI consultants, right? People
Yes.
to help build out the AI systems, and
Mhm.
they're hiring the consultants to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think if that is what a lot of people aren't seeing. So, yes, they fired this whole group of people, but at the same time, they're gonna be hiring
They made it
double
higher.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, in
Uh-huh.
in terms of contractors, in terms of, outsourced agents and stuff like that. So, yeah, the learning curve is gonna be important, especially when it comes to AI, because they're gonna need people to actually should give them the prompts, build the systems and all that. But if the job that the AI is doing, that was your job, you're the one who knows all the ins and outs about the job. So you could tell the AI
That's
exactly
right.
what needs to be done.
Exactly.
Throwing your hands up and saying, woe is me is not helpful. And the bottom line, it's not helpful. But a lot of times because of habit, environment, what you see in the
What we've
in
been
the
trained to think.
and trying to think what you see on the social media feeds and stuff like that is feeding that negativity. And so you can't get out of that until you stop being consuming the different headlines, consuming the commentary, whatever other people are saying, or your family, friends, oh,
Right.
what you gonna do now? Oh my God, what do the pressure builds there. But until you can take a break, rest your mind, rest your body, rest your attention, what you're giving your attention to, then
Uh-huh.
that's the only way you're gonna be able to get through this.
I think one of the, like I was saying before, like I think this whole idea of the job and job security and whatnot, it's a relatively new concept in society, human society. I think
Mm-hmm.
that if we start to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I don't like it because I like
Right.
being comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I'm like, okay, girl, you cannot get so comfortable. You have to understand that maybe every 3 to 4 years, something major is going to shift. Like it's not no longer, 10, 15, 20 years. No, major shifts are happening every 2 to 3 years. And we'll just have to be prepared that maybe what we do now, these contract roles and whatever, da, 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 as more AI gets implemented, as more things get
Mm-hmm.
outsourced, as more things, who knows what our country is going to look like tomorrow, much less in a year from now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a political channel, but
I
anyhow,
mean,
um, it just get ready to just stay light on your feet, stay
yes,
nimble,
yes.
and just be ready for change. Because one thing I do know, it may look like everything is going to hell in a handbasket,
Mm-hmm.
but whatever happens, like when one regime falls, another rise. When
Mm-hmm.
one thing is on its way out, something else is on its way in. And with
Right.
every wave of technology, with every wave of everything, even in the 2008. yes, a lot of people lost everything, but you know what?
Hmm.
A handful of people made a whole lot of money.
Right.
So transfer of wealth is happening. So
Hmm.
looking at things in a different way, stop listening to like mainstream media because they are
Right.
pushing a specific narrative that they
Hmm.
want you to be in fear. They want you to be, in that fight, flight, freeze. They want you to be frozen, you know?
Yes.
But no, it's like it's really actually the time to move. And the thing is that we have oh, did I lose her? Oh no, I lost her. Okay,
Mm,
hopefully she comes back into the studio. But
back.
it's so totally important that we have um that we stay focused and we stay um okay, I'm just distracted now.
I'm here. I'm
Oh no, and
here.
I hope her recording stayed. Her record oh man, she's like totally out of the studio. Oh man. Oh no, I hope I get this recording. Anyhow, let me try to finish up my thought and then I'll worry about that later. Um we have to stay focused. We have to stay focused and we really have to just be ready to move and be flexible and flow with the changes because there's always opportunities in whatever is coming next. Yeah, let's
Mm.
see. So maybe technology did what technology does. So I was just about to wrap things up when Samantha lost her connection to the recording studio. So I asked her to send me a video sharing her final thoughts and how we can connect with her. And this is what she provided.
At the end of the day, this is really a reset for you. Being laid off is not the end of the world, even though it can feel that way. It is time to leverage what you know, who you know, so that you can feel a little bit more grounded. And I hope that this conversation really sparks some ideas for you. And if you need help, if you need support, then I'm here to help you. And I want to thank Denise Renee again for having me a part of this conversation because this is very crucial for this time in our history here in the United States. I know that when you make the decision, your life is going to be completely changed. It's going to be different. And this is what you wanted, right? So keep in touch. I am Samantha the Self Care Alchemist. You can find me on Substack. My newsletter is called Self Care Oasis, is where I share wellness and self care strategies for those who are recovering from or looking to prevent burnout. I also am a coach and consultant. I'm here to help you transform any burnout into better boundaries, more balance, and bliss. I'm here to help you figure out your next best move so that you can live a life that you actually want to live and not one that's been prescribed to you by society, the workplace, family, friends, and everyone else. But you can do this. Follow me on social, on LinkedIn, Samantha Gregory, and on TikTok, Miss Samantha Gregory. All of my information I'll be sharing with Denise so she can share with you in the comments. Thank you again for giving me the time and opportunity, Denise, to be able to come and share my thoughts, share how I've been helping women who have either left the workplace or starting a business, leveling up. And remember, it's about energy capacity, not time management. That's the thing that's going to help you get over the hump and into a space where you are living life on your terms and in bliss.
So I hope that this conversation has been helpful to you. Please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more conversations and resources just like this one. And if you like this conversation, you might like this one next.